Hello, Weekend Warriors. After over a year of not posting, it's my pleasure to say welcome back to the workshop. The last year has been pretty interesting. After all the videos I've done where I removed the guards from my saws in order to show you what I was doing, I was using my saw with all the guards on, and I managed to run 4 of my fingers on my offhand across my table saw blade. Still don't know how I did it, but needless to say, it's been months of therapy to be able to move them again and even pick stuff up, and I'm regaining some of the feeling in them, but it's not all there yet, which goes to show you, even if you are very careful and you obey all the laws and rules of using power tools, if you let your attention slip for just a second, something bad can happen. But it wasn't all bad because it gave me time to sit down and think about my screen printing equipment, because I needed to be able to do a job like 3 weeks after I cut my fingers up, and so I had to have something that I could work with one-handed, and it allowed me to do some small jobs that I couldn't do when I had 2 hands because nobody would let me. They all had jobs for me. So what I ended up doing is I ended up improving my registration cap on the T-press, and that's the metal T-press. I don't use the wooden ones anymore. I changed the way I mount things on the screens as far as my registration volts and stuff like that. And I changed my screen holder. And something that I think is much more efficient for somebody like me. So in this video, we're going to talk about that registration cap. We're also going to talk about the screen holder, and I'm also going to show you what I do for off contact, because I've had that asked and I've never actually shown it on video before. So we're going to do that this time. And then in another video, we'll look at the screen itself, the setup on the screen itself. It hasn't changed a lot, but it's changed enough that I should do a new video on it. And then if you all start asking me questions again, I'll get back to doing other videos. So, in the meantime, give me a minute, I'll set everything up, and we'll go and start looking at new and old and all that kind of stuff. So, be right back. Okay, here's your typical T-press setup, using the screen holder whose design I stole from that other guy, who's too much like Voldemort. If you say his name, he shows up, so I'm not saying his name. Anyway, so you see it holds 3 screens nicely. If I went higher, I could probably put in another one. And it's okay for reaching and doing and holding 3 screens. If I want to do more than 3, I either have to extend the height of the thing, or I have to put up another screen holder. The other disadvantage I have with this holder is it is made to be able to grab the center of the screen. However, with our registration method, using 3-point registration, you have to put it off to the side, which kind of tends to make the screen lean a little bit more. And then when it's in place, and if you want to use heat over the platen, say you're doing a flash cure or something like that, you have to have it set fairly far off the back of the table. And it's not so bad. I mean, it's not set way back where I've got to walk around or anything like that. However, I do have to kind of move off to the side a little bit. And then with the squeegee on the end, I'm sticking a little bit of weight out there. And after 20 or 30 shirts, my back starts to give out on me. I may have mentioned a broken neck at some point in the past. Well, that is coming back to haunt me in my later years here. So while this is a really great simplistic design, I mean, you really can't beat the simplicity of it, and it holds the screens in place nicely. You might have to juggle a screen like this when you're getting ready to change colors, so you're not having to put your working screen all the way up top like that. But that's not a big deal either. Okay, so I'm not saying this is a crappy design or anything like that. It's just not what I want to use, just for physical reasons. If I lose 40 pounds and I make myself stronger and in shape, it'll probably be great for that. However, I haven't yet, and I've got to be able to work. So I've made a couple of changes to that. Okay, here's my screen holder. Now, it doesn't have the elegance of simplicity as the other one, really. However, what it does have is the ability to hold 6 screens. I can leave the bottom one empty because that's my working slot. So I've got 6 screens, and when I'm not using them, I can swing them out of the way. Then when I'm working, I can grab the one I'm working with, and it's right down there in my working slot. Now when I'm printing, you see the screen holder is held right over the platen. So it's not much of a reach to print and then put it back into place. I'm not having to reach this extra weight extended from my body much. Okay, when I'm applying heat to the shirt on the platen, I can swing that screen way out of the way. So there's no way I'm going to get any heat applied to the ink that's already on the screen. So I'm not going to end up with any clog spots quite as easily as I might the other one. It works with my table mounted press. If I take this and I mount it onto the rotary, it works on my rotary. So I'm able to do, you know, up to, well, however tall I want to make it, which isn't much taller than this. I mean, I personally don't do much more than 4 colors at any given time. So for a 4-color press, it's great. I've got it set up for 6 screens right now. So I can do a 6-color just as easily as I can do a 4-color. Wouldn't you know, as soon as I said 4-color, my battery ran out. So we're back again with a fresh battery. And we're just going to go ahead and start talking about the construction of the screen holder. Now, you can see, whoops, he said smashing his tripod. There we go, we're back in place. You can see it's not a real difficult design. In the bottom, I have 3 layers of plywood that I've got a 1 1/8 inch hole bored through. And of course, they're secured all the way up. So they hold the 3/4 inch gas pipe in here nice and firmly. And then empty space, because we don't need anything filling in there. Hole in the top, 3/4 inch hole once again. And the piece of pipe is firmly in place there. The bottom is kind of a pyramid design, so when I've got a bunch of screens in it, it doesn't have a tendency to try to list. It's nice and solid base. Okay, the screen holders themselves slide up and down pretty easily. And this is the bottom one, it's just a single. And once again, it's just a box design. Okay, these guys are 9 inches from edge to edge apart, and that provides me the clearance I need to go, and I can't really get my screen in here with my camera set up. Anyway, it goes nicely in between my Y-axis tuners and allows the center tuner to sit in there somewhere. Whoops, and hitting his camera again. Alright, so it's not incredibly fancy. It is actually a simple design, and it all rotates around the center post. It's a piece of gas pipe. That can be gas pipe, water pipe, doesn't matter. How many screens you want on it will determine what kind of height you want. I don't normally put so many layers on it, just because, once again, I usually only print a maximum of 4 colors. Sometimes I'll go as high as 6, but not often. So we'll go up a layer here. And this layer, whoops, pardon me, this layer is a double. So it can hold, of course, 2 screens, normally off to the side because it keeps my work area clear, but still gives me the option of having the screens where I want them. Let's see. Nothing much to talk about. I mean, it's a simple design. Basically held in with brads and glue. So you put them together, you let them sit overnight, and they're not going to come apart again. Let's see. Like I said, I'll get the design for this up on the website at some point. Just not right this second. But soon. And yeah, so anyway, this guy sits right up against the back of the screen press, like I said, and holds the screen that I want to work with right out over the platen. So that's about all I have to say about that for the moment. Okay, here's typical registration cap off one of my presses. I've got 4 of them because I put 4 of them on the rotary table. And what I've done with this is I've added a piece of 1/2-inch angle iron that will wrap around the top and the front. And then on that piece of angle iron, I've also welded a piece of the same tubing I used for the frame of the key press. And that allows me, in each case, because this guy is a hunk of iron basically, it allows the rare earth magnets to go into place and stay without moving around on me. Before I had a piece of metal that was screwed into place, but that wasn't enough iron contact for the magnet. This way, the magnet is actually acting stronger. Now, I don't know the physics behind it, and I'm not going to try to talk about the physics behind it. Just from reading about the magnets themselves and how they test them, they use a thick piece of metal behind them to figure out how much, what their N rating is, what their magnetism rating is. So that's what I've done. I've given it a heavier piece of metal all the way across. Then on the centerpiece, I've also stuck one of my button magnets. Now I've got a piece of tape over it because that's just protecting the surface of the magnet, the finish. The tape's not doing anything to hold these guys in place. If I want to take them off, I can pop them right off. But they don't come out of place when I'm printing. So they're very, very sturdy and they hold the screen very, very tight. Let's back out again here. Oops, wrong way. Let's back out and change our camera angle. And let me throw a screen on there so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, put my screen on, and once again, I can rock the table around without pulling the screen off the press. It still takes a bit of force to pull the screen off the press. So once again, I'm actually pulling back on it, okay, and rocking it at the same time. So that piece of angle iron really strengthens up the pull of the magnet. So I'm happy about that. What else did I say we would discuss on this video? Oh yeah, my off contact. Now, if you go to the forums and stuff and you talk about off contact and your press doesn't have built-in off contact, they'll tell you tape a couple washers, tape a couple quarters. Well, what I do is I lay out some nice 1/8 inch thick washers onto my platen. And then I put my screen in place, making sure those washers aren't getting in the way of my print. And then, to each washers in the print side, I add another rare earth magnet. Now these are button magnets I bought from Banggood.com. Yeah, it's Chinese, and unfortunately I didn't get to buy American on this, but there's the ability to afford. So there's my off contact. Now those things are going to stay on. They're not going to move around. And they give me the off contact I need when I'm printing. And then when I'm... So for each screen I've got a set of washers and a set of magnets. If I get ink on them, whoops. If I get ink on them, it's no big deal. They wipe right off. And yeah, piece of cake. So let's see. I talked about the registration cap. I talked about the screen holder. I haven't talked about the screen itself, but that's a thing for a different video. So I think we're done here for today. So that's it. That's our welcome back video. Next time we'll talk about the screen and the hardware and even the squeegee holder that I've got in place now. And all good kinds of stuff like that. It's going to be all about the screen. But right now, I hope you enjoy what you saw. If you did, hit me a like. If you don't, hit me a dislike. Leave me a comment. Do whatever you want. I'm going to leave the, of course, information at the end of the video. So until I see you next time, y'all keep up the good fight. And that's it. Bye.